I do feel like they have a chemistry, and I actually really like the direction their characters take in the story.
What do you like about it? Like, what kind of tropes is it hitting?
You're listening to The Juniper and Elle Show, where two friends chat dramas, movies, and whatever else we're checking out at the moment. Grab a tea or other beverage of choice and come hang out with us as we chat, laugh, and occasionally make sense. Hi, this is Juniper.
Hello, this is Elle.
Welcome to our pod. Today, we're going to do early impressions or midway impressions of two currently showing shows. One is a costume drama, well, fantasy, right? And it's Love Beyond the Grave. Chinese name is 白日提灯, starring Cdrama, Dumarat, and Arthur Chen. And the other one is a modern rom-com. Is it a rom-com? I think so, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And that one is called You Are My Fateful Love. Chinese name is 你是迟来的欢喜, starring Miles Wei and 郑和惠子, who I think if you've watched In Blossom, she was the first incarnation of our female lead in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But you would know this better than I, Elle, because you watched that
Yes.
by accident and I never did. So,
Yeah. And I liked her in that. So I was happy.
Yes.
I was looking forward to seeing her in her lead role. Mm-hmm.
Yes. In fact, Miles Wei is in both shows. He's like the second male lead in Love Beyond the Grave. So before we started this recording, I said, hey, is there a theme to this? And I think we jokingly said like this was like the Miles Wei doubleheader where you get to see his versatility playing the jealous scheming guy, right?
Yeah.
In costume versus in rom-com modern day life. So all right. So those are what we're watching. That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's start with Love Beyond the Grave, which is a 40-episode show. And it's about a ghost queen played by Cdrama, right? She's the queen of all ghosts. Although I think in the show, they're not ghosts. They're called spirits, Ling, instead of Gui. And Arthur is a young general who, I guess, their paths cross. And it wasn't clear for many, many episodes what the heck was going on, to be honest. But they went somewhere, thank God. And the main crux is that they also have this ability to exchange senses. He has mortal senses. She is not mortal. She doesn't, I think, have full sense capability. So she borrows them from him for like 10 days at a time. And so there's that element underneath everything else that's going on. I don't know how else to summarize this, but obviously, if I stop talking about the show right now, you would think I hate it, right? Because I was like, where is this show going? But the funny thing is, I quite enjoyed this show right now. And I don't know why, other than I really like watching it. If you asked me at episode 3, do you like this show? I would be like, no, I take it or leave it. I'm going to stop watching. In fact, I actually was going to drop the show. I don't know what happened. I must have like tripped and fallen on my head or something. I kept watching and miraculously made it to episode, I think 6 or 7 or 8, where the show actually took a turn for the better. And I was like, oh, okay. I suddenly want to watch now. There's a story and I care about these people. What about you, Elle? What were your sentiments?
Well, so I watched the first 2 episodes before you, and then I was like, I remember thinking like, I don't know I know what was happening, but I just didn't know if it was drawing me in the way I would like it to.
Yeah.
And then you went ahead and then you said, no, keep going, at least get to 15. So I'm only at 11 now, but I think episode 9 or 10 is when the story got interesting for me. But again, I had to actually slog through. And I want to say slog in a nice way because they do give you story. It's just not story you may necessarily care about.
Right.
And
there is stuff happening.
Yes, there's lots of things happening. No, you didn't care. Or in hindsight, it felt more like backstory or setup that they could have summarized in a clean way with, half the amount of episodes. Once you get past the hurdle of that, then you can like, okay, now I can actually enjoy the story of these two people together.
Yeah, no, I haven't read the full novel, but I did start reading it once I got into the show. And that's where I told you, I said, wow, listening or reading the novel was very much the same experience of like, oh, they did a play-by-play according to the first few chapters. And it is a slogfest. You're like, where's this going? Why is this important? And I think you said this offline to me. You're like, it's a lot of setup, character setup.
Yes.
And I agree. But even as character setup, I think the story, whether it's the show or the novel, doesn't do a very good job of telling you what matters and what doesn't. You kind of just have to absorb it all and go, okay, figure out eventually like this is what she is and what he is and how they're gonna come together in some ways. So backing up a little, right? What that meant for someone like me is this. When I watched the first few episodes, I was like, wow, this is really bland. Like, what kind of show is this? And by the way, for me, this is a high budget show. I think it's supposed to be an S or S plus budget. So it's one of the higher tiers or highest tiers, right? Mm-hmm. It didn't feel that high budget, okay, in the first few episodes because they're in this like war-torn, right, mortal world. Everything's kind of drabby.
Yeah.
So there's nothing going on that's like eye-catching. And also, Doraba's character is very odd. She seems out of place. And, I've said this before about Doraba in other shows where I feel like she's so otherworldly. Like they either try to put her on a pedestal and make her look so ethereal. She seems out of place in a lot of times. In this show, at the beginning, it feels like that way too. Once I got what the story was and where her role was in that character, cast of characters in the overall story, I was like, oh, you know what? This actually works. Because she is supposed to be out of place. Because she's a ghost. She's never been human. And she doesn't know what really she can pretend to be a human very well, but she's not really human. And so her kind of being oddly out of place and somewhat otherworldly makes a lot of sense. So I was like, this is perfect casting. And then I think, for me, the other part was like, well, I don't see any chemistry between Doraba and Arthur because at first you're like, why are these two people even crossing paths? And why do they speak in such weird ways to each other? Because he's always testing her.
Yeah.
Ultimately, where I am, so I'm up to episode 25. I do feel like they have a chemistry, and I actually really like the direction their characters take in the story. Is it tropey? Yeah. Is it the kind of trope I lap up? Sure.
What do you like about it? Like, what kind of tropes is it hitting for you? Because I'm not that far ahead.
I don't want to divulge too much if, you hate spoilers, right? But really, I think, where are you? Episode 11, right?
11. Mm-hmm.
Up to 11, how would you describe the characters as you've experienced them?
I mean, I already see a switch in their relationship because she is, spoilers for whoever's listening. So at this point, they have exchanged one of their senses, which is a sense of touch. And it's kind of hilarious to me because she had never been really interested. She was like, well, it's not going to make a difference. But then once she has the sense, it actually reminded me a lot of my daughter when she was a toddler, because that's when kids are learning the sense of touch. They realize they can use their hands and they pinch and squeeze and grab everything. And she's doing that. She's like just grabbing everything. And I was like, so she went from like this cool ice queen, like, ghost queen to like to be very toddler like, oh my God, look at this fuzzy animal, and he's kind of enjoying it. And you're like, oh, he's very charmed by her being so enthralled by the world for the first time. So right now, the reason I'm saying it switched for me is because I feel like I finally see personality from these two. Like, it's not like in the beginning, it was like he's just surviving. He has, like battle scars, trauma. He's just surviving. And then he's not really living life, which is what she wants for him, right? She was like, you're immortal. You don't have that much time. You should really enjoy life. And he's like, he never really thought he had the rights to do that because of the sort of crimes he's committed. And then for her, she's like, well, I live forever. I don't, you guys are just like a flash in the pan for me. Like, I'm not going to remember you. But now they're sort of like meeting each other. You know, they're not so far apart anymore. So it is enticing to see more. And if you're saying, you know, you're 12 episodes ahead and you're saying it's still worth it, then yeah, that's really encouraging to say, okay, that it's going to hopefully be a fun journey.
Yes, I think their character, the roles reverse. It's a role reversal romance. Oh my God, I'm having such a hard time speaking today. Where I am, they're in her world now. He basically follows her to her realm, which most mortals don't go to. It's actually hazardous to your health, and it does impact his health. So she has to she's back to her ice queen mode, high and mighty above everything else. But she has a soft spot for him. But she's not going to show him the soft spot because at the end of the day, the problem where I am, it comes back to her eternal being, right? That she doesn't die, and he's but a blip on her radar time wise, and she doesn't want to commit to that. Whereas he's like the eager little puppy chasing her all over the place with his tail wagging about, going, look at me, look at me, look at me. Why are we together? Look at me. So that's kind of amusing to watch. Like, he's like the love-struck girl. This is what I mean by like role reversal, right? Which you would never think that based on the early episodes, because he's this crazy like young general. Like, he has bloodlust.
Yeah.
In fact, in the mortal realm, she's very lively and kind of girly, even though she's weird, right? You don't see the full on ice queen mode, the ruler of this vast empire. But back in her realm, that is very clearly established. So it's kind of interesting because it's like this young puppy supplicant chasing after the high and mighty empress. And you're like, is it going to work? But then they're going to switch back to his world again. Like, there's going to be back and forth, is my understanding. I haven't finished the book. And really, the ultimate question is, will they be together? Now, I think it will be. Everyone who's read the book has said it's a happy ending in the book, at least. But then, you know, Chinese drama can always, or sometimes can never fail you in giving you a disappointing ending. But let's hope that this is not one of them. I would like to see them together. I'm invested in their well-being as a couple. He's worked so hard. He's killed so hard to be alive, right?
Yeah. And
you almost kind of want to see him bring happiness and warmth to her life because she is so cold and ice queen and, you know, impenetrable.
Yes.
So it's almost like, again, that's another aspect of what I call role reversal, where he's almost playing the opposite of his role Sima Zhao in When Destiny Brings the Demon.
Yes.
In that one, the girl has the role he has here, which is to bring alive the warmth, love, and happiness and joy in this not ancient, but, you know, hundreds of years old, powerful being who's kind of dead inside, right? And who's wary of the world because everyone also wants to challenge you and kill you. In her world, too, she's supreme because she's supremely powerful. And she knows that everyone's scheming against her. So that's also very interesting to see that role reversal and with the male and female reversal, too. And the fact that he's playing the opposite of a role that we liked him in before. So you're like, oh,
yeah,
this is very interesting.
And so soon after, too. You know, you mentioned Miles Way. So far, as of the first 11 episodes, he's only shown up like twice and for very benign reasons. And, you know, I know he's not going to play like a nice guy, but like, does his role get better or juicier? Because otherwise, I'm like, why?
Why is he in the show?
Yeah, why cast him?
He hams it up as the jealous second male lead.
Okay.
And I do enjoy watching. Like, there are memes out there, people and cartoons people have drawn between the male lead and him, because they kind of basically have like the chest pumping kind of, oh, I'm better than you type of exchanges, right? Like,
okay.
so again, role reversal, they're like the the girls pulling each other's hair out and bitch slapping each other to get the man, basically. But they're doing it verbally most of the time, right? But you're just like, oh, come on, boys, stop fighting over the pretty girl.
Well, something to look forward to.
His expressions are priceless, though, when he's jealous, when he sees, her bring her little pet, human. He is literally, Arthur's character is literally her pet human in her world. It's hilarious. Not literally, but it feels that way. Like, that's a dynamic. The other thing I'll say is that I really enjoy, so I said the first Mortal arc was drabby to watch, right? Not only was the storytelling narratively bland, visually bland too, but the minute they get into the more magical aspect, and I think episode 15 is where they go into her realm for a prolonged stretch. My God, the visuals, the set design, everything, the costume design in the Void world is gorgeous. I mean, it's a dark world, but it's beautifully rendered, in my opinion.
Okay.
So it gels, right? It doesn't feel like pretend, fake, oh my God, they could use more money here, or they only use money. Like, when Destiny brings the demon, remember we said the fighting FX was good in that show, but the rest sometimes look kind of like weird or cheap. You don't get that feeling here. Not in the set design and the aesthetics in the Void realm. Now, could they done better on storytelling, like pacing? Probably. So I'm invested in the couple. It sounds like you're invested in their sense swapping, which is also very interesting. And there's a lot of random humor, like, that if you blink, you miss it type of moments, because they don't pause to let you laugh at it. But if you catch on what they're talking about, it's pretty funny. I definitely look forward to finishing this show, even those 40 episodes. I'm so glad I stuck with it. So if you haven't watched the show, Juniper, would recommend you give it a try. But just be ready to be completely bored out of your mind or bewildered out of your mind in the first, I would say, what is it? For me, I would say up to episode 5 or 6, it was bewildering. By the time you get to episode 8, it's a huge turning point. It's very eye-opening for me. And then if you don't, like 8, make it to, what is it? You say 9 or 10, because that was also a major turning point for you, because that's when they officially start exchanging senses.
Yeah, I think you definitely could watch the first section like on 2 speed, 2 speed,
or 4 speed. No, I'm just kidding. But don't do that at 8. Don't do 7 and 8. That injustice.
Yeah, it's more getting to the point where they, instead of them trying to like duke each other out, now they're like, okay, now we can start working together and trusting each other. So that's when the story kicks in. And then hopefully it's a good payoff. So
yes, it is. It's almost still too early to say where the story is going, even though I'm already halfway through. So that's the mystery of why I like this show, because I can't tell you why, other than I'm very invested into seeing what happens. It's a very basic relationship type of love story, and yet it's not, because the characters involved are so strange and unique, and the dynamic is unique.
Yeah, the fact that she can live forever, though, I think that's what, because there's a sort of a tragedy already built into their love story, right? If he's meant to only live his 80 years of life or whatever his lifespan's going to be, then you're like, oh, then it's just, it's not as enduring as, other types of love stories would be for that.
That's a really important point you just pointed out. Why didn't I think of that? So the whole the lifespan differences. So that's why she's like, we can't be together. And so a lot of the angst where I am is coming from that. And there is angst. But what I also like is that the angst is never like crazy angsty, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, they're pretty cool-headed about it. Like, even though he really does love her, like, you can tell, and she really does love him, but they're very like calm about it. So it's interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I will definitely keep watching.
Yeah, I will too.
Would you recommend others, now that you've made it to 11?
At least make it to episode 8, like you said, like to where they reveal themselves to each other, and then then you can. But yeah, I definitely think you can watch the first 6 episodes 2 speed. get through it. I mean, they're not super long. Some of them are like 35 minutes. They're not your usual 45 minute. I mean, 35 minutes is still long, but two speeds, like 10 minutes, Get it done. Move on to the next episode.
Yes, Shortcuts by Elle, brought to you by Elle, free of charge. Okay, so let's then transition to the other part of the Miles Way doubleheader today. Sorry. So this show, you're way further than I am, and I've only checked it out kind of on a whim because you were, right? The whole You Are My Fateful Love show. I only watched the first 4 episodes. You're on episode, what is it, 20 out of 30? 23 out of 30. Okay. So why don't you take the lead? Because there's a reason why you said, hey, there's a Miles Way rom-com coming out and I want to watch it.
Yeah. Well, okay, so it's based on a novel. So I only know about the story because I read the novel, I don't know, last year. And so the story basically is about a woman who's a writer, and she has like writer's block, and then she comes upon a journal or diary, and it reminds her of her high school crush. So she's like, I'm going to base my novel on my high school crush. And then at the same time that she's publishing, so in China, it's a trend to publish online. Someone else was like, hey, you plagiarized this other story. Someone else already wrote the story. And then she's like, what? That's my story. How can someone else have the exact same details, except her story is from her perspective and the other story is from the male's perspective, the guy's perspective. So in a nutshell, the guy that she had a crush on, that she wrote her novel on, he ends up being the lawyer who's going to help her fight this lawsuit, this plagiarism lawsuit. And then she's freaking out because she doesn't want him to read the story because she's worried he'll recognize himself in her sort of romantic dream version of, the crush and how it all happened. So it's a little convoluted, but once you start watching it or reading it, it makes sense. The angst is really coming from, I mean, these are people who, this is 10 years later, so they're both 28 in the story. And the angst is really like, I guess when you face your childhood crush, you never really grow up. I guess like you're always gonna feel that level of embarrassment or, oh no, And I think it's interesting because in the story they're both still single. It's not like they moved on and had other relationships. So the attraction is that, like they still feel the butterflies that one would feel when you're in high school. So he lives abroad in the US. So he only ran into her because he was back in town. Oh, but he did come back because of her. Because, so the story, spoilers, the reason there's a male version of the story is that he had recorded some of his, like, he has like micro diary entries on an old cell phone. And his kid sister, who's in high school in present day, came upon it. And so she's the one that posted them and rewrote her brother's like childhood crush story. Anyways, so you dropped it after 4 episodes. I would say yes. The early episodes are very draggy because I read the novel. I would say it's very aligned to the source material. So I knew what was going to happen. So I had things to look forward to, right? Like I was like, I want to get to the point where they at least know about each other, because when they meet again, so they're in the lawyer's office and they're like, oh, do you know each other? Because they kind of stare at each other. And she goes, no, I don't know you. And he's like, oh, I guess I have to say, I don't know you either. And you're like, this is the stupidest setup ever. Like,
yes,
what
I saw that
person would be like, no. And then for the longest time, she wouldn't even divulge that she was in the same high school.
Well, she didn't want him to read her manuscript, right? She even shopped around for different lawyers because she's like, oh, I don't want him taking my case, or his friend. Then she would be exposed because he would catch on that the crush she's writing about in her novel is really a personification of him. Not personification, you know what I mean? A projection of him.
Yeah. Yes.
Little does she know that the other side is his crush on her. But that's, I guess, the twist, right? The unique twist in this story. But
yeah, it's called mutual crush. I don't know if that's a trend in other Chinese romance novels, but I mean, I think it's effective here in a way where they genuinely act like they have feelings and they're And you're so
They're
afraid
acting like they have feelings, but they don't really have feelings. No,
but
just
I'm
kidding.
saying, like if you were a grown adult and you had this unrequited crush, and then you're like, wait, there might be a chance. Because in the beginning, they weren't thinking there was a chance, right? But the longer they interacted with one another, it was like, oh, we're kind of friends now. And you're like, well, you're still single, and you liked this person before. But actually, it's interesting that when they liked each other, I mean, not so much her, but he created a persona because he overheard her saying, "I like this type of character from Meteor Garden." Like she liked the elegant,
Hua
yeah,
Zilei, right? And you and I said that, so I was like, wait, who wants to be Hua Zilei? What is this weird obsession with the second male lead from, Meteor Garden? I mean, you and I are both like, of course, Dao Mingsi, right? Like, he's way cooler and more fun. Like, he's crazy, but...
Yeah, so he like create a persona in high school, right? Like where he doesn't want her to know he likes like junk food, like fried chicken and soda. You're like, well, that's so stupid. But that's what kids do when they're young, and you're like, you want to impress a girl.
But they carry that into adulthood.
Yes,
That's the thing.
It's a little cringy, right? Because you're like, wait, like you haven't changed in 10 years. You can't develop new habits in 10 years. But I do think there's a lot of charm in the show. There's a lot of things happening. It's not just the two of them. There's a love rival, and she has another guy that she met in college who has a crush on her. In the story, he's like a successful singer. So he kind of creates a little bit of tension, not in a bad way. It's a rom-com, so it's never bad tension. And then his kid sister, she has her own little story with her best buddy who actually likes her, but they're in high school, so he hasn't like confessed yet. And then her best friend, his best friend, spoilers later on, they will get together. They're the cutest couple, by the way. I was telling you
yes. Well, I said I only want to watch the show about the second couple. Again, the reason I stopped watching is because it wasn't that compelling and memorable. It wasn't because it was bad. And also, I was like, you know what? The two best friends are both from My Boss. So it's too much of a reminder, obvious in-your-face reminder of that show, which we both loved, right? Despite our misgivings about how the female lead behaved at the end in some ways, right? Towards the end. Not at the end, but towards the end. So that's a reminder of that show as a comparison to this that makes this pale in comparison too. Unfortunately.
Yes. Because that's also about two lawyers.
Right.
Like Cheng Shu and the best friend. And then here he plays both, yeah. But I love, like, I don't remember them in the book. I don't know if this is written for the drama. But I would say I love the dynamic between the two best friends. There's such a sharp contrast because I texted you, I said, watching the show is like being on a very nice rowboat and you're just like slowly rowing down the stream.
Row your boat gently down the stream. No, just kidding.
It's just like, you're just watching it for the pleasantries, the nice view. There's no giant wave that's going to come crashing at you, right? Like, it's not like that. But it does get very cumbersome sometimes because you're like, why can't these two people just open their mouths and just tell each other that they like each other, or go out on a date? Like, you're adults, you're mature working adults. It's not like one of you is like a complete loser or whatever, right?
Because the story and script dictates it so.
Because it would take 30 episodes to tell you the story. But the friends story is so quick. Like, it's like they meet, they have a misunderstanding, they get over it, then they help each other, then they develop feelings, and she outright rejects him. He cries, and like, you're like, oh my god, you feel so sad. Then 5 minutes later she's back because she felt bad rejecting him, and she realizes he's a good guy, and you're like, oh yes. And this could have been its own drama, and I would have loved it.
That's the drama I want to watch because I really like the best friends. The two actors, they're such naturals.
Yeah, they're really good. Actually, I was telling you, I like the actor. I don't think he's ever played a lead role in anything, but he's very cute. He has good screen presence. He picks these roles that work for him, and I wish yeah, I hope at least in this drama I get to see more of their relationship and that they're not just there to dangle the carrot because they are refreshing when you're watching like the main leads who are like, oh, I don't know what to do. You know, or they miscommunicate. You're like, come on, let's get on.
I'm sorry, do you like the show or not?
No, I do like it. I'm just saying that having people who are like really upfront and honest with their feelings, and then the fact that they work, it's like I want the leads to get to that point too. Like I don't like just get to the point where everybody's happy. But then, of course, once that happens, you're like, there's still 7 episodes. Over. The show's over. So I'm like, what are the 7 episodes left? I don't know what's left because I never finished the novel, but I read long enough to know so far it's covered everything that I had read.
So I have to ask, are you sure you like the show? Because here you talk about it, right? You're like, oh my God, get on with it, guys, for the main couple. And it sounds like to me that you're just waiting for the payoff when they can finally fully get together and move on beyond this awkward phase of like, get on with it. But if that's the case and it's the end of the story, then you're really just praying for the show to end so you can get off with it. Sorry.
I will say so the story so far is like in 3 arcs. So the first arc is like the whole awkward stage, which took a long time, and which I have read other people complain about. They're like, it's just too slow. But like people are still waiting. People like me are like, okay, I want to get to the payoff. So there's just it's not bad enough to like turn it off. It's like I still want to keep watching. And then the second arc is when they actually leave the town that they're in and they get into this very scenic area. It's almost like a vacation area, but it takes the story away from the focus of like the high school days or how they're hung up on the high school days to like, oh, they can kind of be themselves and interact almost daily because they end up staying at the same like homestay. And then at first you're like, what is the point of this whole area? But you realize it's like it's actually the only point where she can actually start to relax around him and not be always so like uptight. Like because in the beginning she's always really nervous and like just wanting to get done with the lawsuit and then just like, okay, I guess this is the end. Like the lawsuit stuff is done. I'm never gonna see you again. So I'm glad they did that because it was kind of necessary to move their love story closer and tighter. So now the third arc is like they're back in their city lives, and then they realize like they're long distance because he's still flying back and forth from the U.S. So I'm getting to the point where I'm like waiting for the real payoff, which is when they both realize, because at this point she still didn't realize that his story is what was used to write the supposed plagiarist account of her novel. So once all of that is done, I think it'll be a good way to end it, and then we'll see what else they do with the rest of the story. I don't know what else they could possibly do.
You mean they still haven't recognized that there was a mutual secret crush?
No.
Or at least one of them hasn't. She doesn't.
No, she doesn't realize.
But he knows.
He knows. Yeah, he knows because he read the novel. But he didn't. He wasn't ready to tell her, and I don't know why. I don't know why he didn't tell her. So yeah, it's one of those things. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's a known Chinese drama affliction. So okay, so you would you recommend this show to others?
I think if you're in the mood for like a sweet romance, it's not bad. And the actress, so I mentioned the actress. I liked her from In Blossom. She was like in the first 2 episodes, and she's not famous, I don't think, but she's worked a long time as a supporting character. So this is one of her first roles as a female lead. I mean, I think she's done one other drama. I haven't watched that, but I like her. I think she has cute chemistry with Miles Way. I've told you in the past, like Miles Way, like he's very reliable for this type of character, like the wily, confident, business type, wearing a suit type. I think someone had said, I don't know if it's true, the rumors that he had said he's not going to do rom-coms anymore. So I don't know if this is one of his last few rom-coms. Oh my God. Can you imagine? Like, what would he do? Because
he churns out like 2 of these every year, I feel like. So to not have them on the schedule would be devastating, I think, for a certain corner of the market.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan. But I think he's charming enough, like just based on the first 4 episodes I watched. Like he's a serviceable leading man in these type of roles.
Yes.
And I don't mean serviceable in a condescending way, okay? Like, you know what you're going to get, and he does a good job in them. The script is not great, is the problem. It's, the story themselves are not like, wow, what a story. That's the real issue here.
Yeah. It's weird. I was trying to figure out who the target audience is. I was like, is this for an older? No, I was like, is this really for an older? Well, because even though if you're saying, oh, it's for an older market or whatever, right? Older audience, like who likes that unrequited love story, you're like, but it is kind of like, but they're not acting like adults in some ways, right? Like they're still like immature when it's with each other. And then I don't see that as being necessarily like, oh, it makes my heart flutter. But yeah, I think if you really like sweet romance, and it's a very pretty production. The production is filmed in a very pretty way.
With mango orange filter. Sorry. I always think that the mango aesthetic is very specific to mango. Sorry. So I had to make that comment. But go on.
Yeah, I can see that. So I still would recommend it. I think just get past I'm not specific as you with Love Beyond the Grave where like, oh, get past this episode. I don't have that number in mind. It's more like get past their sort of awkwardness and then just believe in the feelings they have for each other and it'll get better. So,
and of course, if you like the actors, right? I mean, then this is great vehicle for you to enjoy.
Yeah, I like all the actors in this. I would say I like all the. I don't know if I like all the actors in Love Beyond the Grave, but in You're My Fateful Love, I like all the key actors. Like the all 3 CPs work in their own ways, which is a surprise. Sometimes these shows, there's at least one CP, you're like, oh, there's just filler. But I think here it actually works.
That's good to know. Good plug. I mean, it is typical of the genre. If you're looking for this type of story and show, and you happen to like these actors, then yeah, give it a go. And assuming there's not a huge competition for your time and attention, right? Like for me, it's like, okay, I'm watching Love Beyond the Grave right now. I'm not going to watch something else. Okay, cool. I mean, if anything, I think the real lesson we've learned is do not adapt the book's beginnings too literally. Because it sounds like both of these shows did that, and it made them harder to get through in the beginning.
Yeah. It's probably more fan service for the readers, right? Because you want to hook them in because there's a fan base built in from the source material.
But that's bad storytelling.
Well, plus these web novels are so long. Like they could be hundreds, if not thousands of chapters long. So you don't know what they're picking and choosing to adapt sometimes. So
yeah, don't adapt your shows like you're Charles Dickens by the word. Take some creative liberty, condense it.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Well, I guess that's it for today. I'm not even sure. Oh, wow, we've been talking about this for a while. What the heck did we talk about? As usual. Huh. I'll just go edit out like half of this. All you'll be left with are random giggles for no reason. Contextless giggles.
Yes.
All right. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.